Hey guys, today we're just going to go over a quick how-to video. This is everything we need here. We're going to set up the tent in the sauna, show you how to use it, show you how to pack it back down, and just kind of everything that you'll get with a rental. Alright, so first we're going to go ahead and open up the tent bag. This is how it'll come to you. We have it bungee corded just because it's a little bit easier to get in the bag. So what we'll do, take off the bungee cords. And as you can see, we have all these hubs here at the top in one position. So what you're going to want to do, flip it over. That bungee cord sticking to me. Flip it over. And just kind of, you can let it fall how it may. And then you just want to make sure that you've got a side in front of you. And go ahead and step on the skirt. And it's not hard, but it's a little awkward sometimes. Then you want to pull by these two ties here, pull the hub out. So that's one wall. Go ahead and we'll get another wall popped out. Grab it by the hub. Pop that out. Next, we'll go ahead and do the roof. You can tell which one's the roof by the chimney hole there. And now we just go ahead and pop out the other walls. So that's how you pop up the tent. So next we're going to go through our backpack here, a little backpack of goodies. We'll get everything taken out of there, show you what's in there. Got propane torch for lighting your fire. We've got collapsible bucket for your water, complete with your dinosaur ladle. We've got UV glove for dealing with the stove. Little light. You can change the color. There's that. And then we've got two different types of stakes, depending on what your situation is. We've got the kind of corkscrew one here for good for like hard snow and ice and frozen ground. Then we've got these longer stakes, so we'll include both of them and just whichever one works better for you. So after we popped up the tent, first thing you want to do, just in case to be safe, is you want to stake it down. So we're kind of in a snowy pack here, so I'm going to go ahead and go with these longer stakes. And what you want to do is go ahead and each corner has a section for it. And just go ahead and pack those in. And you want to go ahead and do this on each corner. And then also as you're doing this, kind of just go around, make sure you have the skirt pulled out all the way. Another nice tip is if it's real windy and you're concerned and you got your stakes in the ground in each corner, we're also going to go ahead and include guy lines, which is good to put on the hubs here and go ahead and stake those into the ground. It's not real windy today, so we're not going to do that. But another good option is to use wood or cinder blocks or anything heavy. You can go ahead and throw that on the skirt around the outside. That'll give you a little extra stability in the windier weather. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get the stove inside. You want to try and line it up with your chimney hole as best you can. Okay. And then after you get it kind of close, go ahead and get your legs out on the bottom of the stove. You've already got the ones in the back pulled out, so make sure those are fully extended. And you want to go ahead and open up your stove and get your stovepipe out. And there's one in particular that you want to pay attention to, which is the one with the flue adjustment on it. So it's got a lip on the bottom, which will just kind of help seal off the stove from inside. So go ahead and make sure that rounded piece is on the bottom and it's seated fully to operate the flue. Shelly, if you can show the inside here, that's fully open. And once you get the handle horizontal, that'll close it. Okay, so once you get your first 3 stovepipes in place here, what you're going to want to do is take your last 2 and your cap and go on the outside. And sometimes this is easier with 2 people, but you can make it work. And go ahead and slide that in and kind of set it there. And sometimes you can get it just right, but most of the time you got to come back inside and just line that up with the rest of your pipe. Go ahead, wiggle that in place and make sure everything's nice and snug. We've got our basket here with 40 pounds of stones, and want to set that right on top, and it's a snug fit, so watch your fingers. Just kind of press your heat shield out a little bit, and do it on this side, and that'll hold it right in place, and those will get nice and toasty for you. Last but not least, you want to go ahead and get your bench inside the tent. This is kind of our prototype bench, so your bench might look a little bit different, but we always have the stove going this way and the bench directly across from it. That way you don't get too close to it, you don't get too much radiant heat, and this kind of gets you opposite of the vents to get the heat flowing. Okay, so next we want to show you how we recommend you load the wood stove here. We use what's called the top-down method. This method allows you to get the most heat and the most use out of the wood that you have. So what that is you go ahead and load your bigger pieces on the bottom, and then you do your medium-sized pieces up on top of that, and then at the very top you do kindling and your fire starter, and we will provide both the kindling and the fire starter in your backpack there. So once you get that going, you go ahead and you get your torch here, and these are pretty easy to use. We just ask that when you're done using it, you unscrew it and put it back in the backpack. So there's a lock button here. You can twist it to lock it. For safety features, right now it's unlocked. So go ahead and light your fire starter. And when you're starting your fire, we do recommend that you leave the vent open on the bottom, and that's also your ashtray. And you go ahead and leave both doors open and your door closed. And now with the door closed, you'll see on the front that we do have a vent here. We recommend leaving it open completely the whole time, and you also want to have your flue in the open position. So within about 30 minutes, you should be at least up to around 150, and usually after that 30-minute mark, I go ahead and add another piece of wood in there, and you should be cruising up to 180 and in the 200s if that's your wish. If it gets a little too hot for you, you can go ahead and dampen your flue a little bit, and that'll help cool it down. We don't recommend opening the windows because they can be a little tricky to close, but if it gets too hot, feel free to zip open the door there. And then after your fire's going, after about 30 minutes, go ahead and close your ashtray, and you're all set to go. Another thing to keep in mind while using the sauna tent is to make sure that you have your vents open. So here's one vent here, just make sure that's puffed open. And then here's another vent here, and that's controlled by a flap on the inside that's Velcro. You want both of those completely open during the whole time. What that'll do is that'll help air circulate and help the heat move over to you on the bench. Another thing to keep in mind is our flap up here. Since you're using this as a sauna, we keep this material in here with your stove opening, and we keep the flap folded back and out of the way. So it'll come to you with this already like this, so you don't have to worry about this. And when you pack it up, just go ahead and leave it just like it is now. We want this out of the way. We don't want anybody to burn anything, and we want this in place to help keep everything heat resistant. And this is what it'll look like once it's all set up and ready to go. You got your 3 big windows here to go ahead and look out into nature. And this is normally our recommended setup for the inside here. We have our bench across from the stove. We keep our firewood in the back corner. We keep our thermometer up in the top corner up by your head, and that'll give you the most realistic heat that you're feeling. And we keep our lights and anything else that we don't want getting too hot on the floor. And generally, we like to have our guests put a towel down on top of the bench. Even though we have wood on top, the towel will kind of help keep it a little bit cooler for you and also help keep it clean. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and pretend that we just took a beautiful hot sauna and got all sweaty, and now we've let the stove cool down. You want to make sure that you kind of hover your hand over the stove and make sure that it's cooled down sufficiently. It all depends on when you put your last log in and how hot it was, but You want it to be cool to the touch. And usually we say after we're done sauning, we wait about 45 minutes to an hour to let it cool down completely. Once that's set, you can go ahead and start cleaning up. For the last part, for the cleanup, this is the tricky part, kinda. Want to go ahead and get your stovepipe out, and to get these apart, sometimes you got to kind of wiggle them back and forth, but they'll come apart. If you can't get it apart, don't worry about it, but they fit back in your stove all nice and neat. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and do the teardown. So what you want to do is leave your doors open and go ahead and just start pushing walls in. Make sure you got everything out of the tent. Don't forget your thermometer up in the corner too. And it's okay, just kind of let it fall in on itself. And then leave your top open, kind of get all the air out a little bit. And you want to grab a corner of the roof and a corner of the bottom and just kind of push and fold. And then from here, you can just go ahead, kind of fold everything into that center point. And this is where you can go ahead and bungee cord. I start with the top where the hubs are, work my way down, and then after you get your bungee cords on, you should be able to go ahead and put it in the bag. If you can't put it in the bag, that's all right. Just try and keep it as clean as possible, and we appreciate it. Thanks.